And welcome back to Washington Commanders Insider. Today, we're talking about the big primetime test that's coming up this season for the Washington Commanders. Next, we're going to be talking about Jayden Daniels and how he can take a major step forward this year and really join some elite company with this franchise. And so before we go ahead and we jump into it, I first want to remind you to hit that subscribe button, just like Jayden Daniels is going to be hitting Terry McLaurin and Deebo Samuel for lots of touchdowns this upcoming season. And so in exchange for hitting that like and hitting that subscribe button, I'm going to give you nothing but daily content around the Washington Commanders. And so make sure you hit that like, you hit that subscribe, and you join the Washington Commanders Insider family as we talk nothing but Washington Commanders football. And so with that being said, let's go ahead and let's jump into it. We're talking about the primetime test coming up this season for the Washington Commanders. Really, we're going to start with the standalone games that the Washington Commanders have, and then we're going to talk about the schedule as well. And so the standalone games that the Washington Commanders tie with the Kansas City Chiefs for most in the league with 8. And standalone games are going to be the games that are going to be on Monday, Sunday, and Thursday. And it's also going to be the international games. And so these are island games. These are going to be the games in that national window where everybody is going to be looking at you. There's no other football games competing with you. And for the most part, there's no other sports out there that are competing with you. And so we know there's a lot of attention here. And so if you get into standalone games, that is the NFL sending a clear message that you are a focus team this season. And so we know that with the Washington Commanders, and let's start there with why this is going to be a test. And so knowing that everybody in the NFL is looking for you now, certainly the Washington Commanders are going to have to step it up, because what they did last season is not going to work this season. And so we know that the Washington Commanders cannot get into these games and get behind. You really have got to have your best foot forward in these games, because we know that these teams are really going to give you the best punch. We've talked about this before on prior videos, that the Washington Commanders have the 10th toughest schedule. And so the schedule is certainly going to be tougher than what it was a season ago. Not like it's too tough, but still, it's certainly a step up here. And so the Washington Commanders are going to have to step up this season and know that what you did last year just doesn't work this year. There's going to be a ton more tape on you, especially when it comes down to Jayden Daniels and the way that this offense runs. You can trust that Cliff Kingsbury is going to be out there making those adjustments. And so this is why I feel good about the Washington Commanders moving into this. And so that leads me to point number 2 with the Washington Commanders. I think that also, along with teams knowing that this team is an up-and-coming team and really could make some noise, they're also looking at a player that could really be the face of the league at some point very soon, and that is Jayden Daniels. And so I think that there's going to be a ton more pressure on him. You know that there's a lot more tape on Jayden Daniels now, and Jayden Daniels has already said that, look, what I did last season, that doesn't count for this season. And so what I love about it is he's already put in the work and everything else, but I'm looking forward to seeing how he's going to evolve this season, because I love what Adam Peters has done by going out there and taking care of business in the draft, and then via trade, and just getting him some more offensive weapons. And then also too, making sure that he is also protected as well, and just getting the defense a lot better. And so I think that, look, it's all about Jayden Daniels just taking another step forward this season, which I clearly do. And I think what we're going to see in these primetime games is you're going to see even more focus from Jayden Daniels, which really makes him special as a quarterback. We're going to be talking here in a moment why I think he has a chance to step into some elite company. But let me start with another reason why I feel good about the Washington Commanders, not only in these games, but also too just for this year, because when you look at Adam Peters and really what he's done so far, and I know that the offseason is really not over just yet. I mean, we have not got to the first kickoff in the season here, so there's still a lot of adjustments that will need to be made. And so you got camp coming up, you got preseason, obviously cuts. Teams are going to cut some players due to salary cap casualties. There might be a trade that needs to get done or that's open. And I think that you can trust that Adam Peters, if there's a way to get this team even better going into those games and into this season, I think that in Adam Peters we trust, because what he did in free agency, he clearly sent the message that he was going to fix the defense and get it in an even better situation. He clearly sent the message via the trade that he had to go out and make sure that the offense got some more juice in Deebo Samuel, and then also too making sure that he's going to protect his franchise quarterback with Laramie Tunsil. And then he sent an even bigger message in the draft by going out there and getting just a terrific cornerback in Trey Amos. And that just really gives you the assurance, I think, with the back half of the defense that they are looking forward to the challenges that are going to come at them, because we know that there's some elite wide receivers in the NFC and, we know across the NFL, but definitely, in the NFC and just really all over, just this division, you've got to be able to stop some folks. And so I love the fact that Adam Peters has just done that. And then you have got to love the fact that he went out and added some more assurance to the offensive line by going out and getting Josh Conley Jr. These are players that definitely fit Jayden Daniels in that timeline, so you get a chance to maximize really that rookie contract and such. And so you love the forward thinking from Adam Peters, and you have got to love the fact that he has not given up the farm in doing so, which means that he has not given up a ton of draft capital. There's still draft capital, and there's still the ability to add some really good future pieces here. And so you love that about, just Adam Peters not going all in like that, but going in all in enough to get this team in a much better situation, which is why I think they are going to be even more prepared and ready for what is coming at them this season. And then with the coaching staff, look, I know that we talk a lot about Dan Quinn because Dan Quinn is generally the one that's doing the interviews and such, but you could just tell when Dan Quinn is talking that there's so much juice in the Washington Commanders building. You could just tell that this is a team that is just knowing that there's a real challenge coming, and they know that they've got to pay attention to the details and the work ethic and just the principles that have gotten them to the party. And you could just tell that that sense of urgency is there. And I just think that that's going to show once we start to get into, these camps and then also to the preseason and things like that. And so I'm looking forward to seeing that. But just from what I'm hearing, from these interviews and things like that, it definitely sounds like the Washington Commanders are ready for the challenge ahead. And when you look at the schedule, look, I think that this is a schedule for, as much as we've talked about with it being tough and such, I think that the Commanders do have a chance to really get off to a great start, especially in the first 4 weeks of the season. That's where we're going to find out a lot about just where this team is at physically and mentally, with all the hype and everything else. And you've got some winnable games out of the gate. You certainly have got to take care of business. And so I think that that's going to be critical for the Washington Commanders to do so. And I think that really the focus there is you just want to play a good first half and put yourself in position, because I think that it's going to get pretty saucy, I think, at the end of the year, especially when you start to look at that Eagles game kind of sandwiched in with that Cowboys game. Like, that's going to be huge, because that could be seeding in the playoffs. That could even mean the division is on the line. And so we're hoping that the Washington Commanders are, right there at the top and maybe have a chance to go ahead and win the division. I know it's going to be a tall order, but I believe in them, obviously. But, I'm just saying, like, that is going to be a critical point here for the Washington Commanders, is that you want to put yourself in position there. You don't want to be in chase mode towards the end of the season, because that's going to be tough. And so, like I said, I think that this team is prepared with the just the acquisitions and the things that they've done in the offseason thus far. We're going to see if they add some more. And I do trust that with the work that these players have already put in, it sounds like with the rookies and then also to the vets being in the building, there's a ton of juice there. You can tell the urgency is there, especially with all the attention that's going to be around those standalone games, the draft coming up, the new stadium. The Washington Commanders have no choice but to push forward. And that phrase that they say all the time, anytime, anywhere, any place, they're going to have to lock in like that every week. And so looking forward to seeing this Washington Commanders team step up to the challenge. And so that leads me to the last point of the video and talking about Jayden Daniels again. And so, look, I think that Jayden Daniels is poised to really have a special season this year. And I just believe so much in Jayden Daniels. And just as a fan and watching this team just really punt on a franchise quarterback, to finally get a franchise quarterback that is leading the way that Jayden Daniels really did last season, it's terrific to see. And I just love the fact that he can beat you in so many different ways. And you can just tell that he's even got more levels that he can get to at this point in time. And so I can't even list all the records that he broke and the numbers and things like that. But just looking at it just from just the sheer history standpoint, it's huge with what Jayden Daniels is about to do, because in year two, if Jayden Daniels can do really, I think the just unthinkable, which is lead us to a Super Bowl in year two. He almost did it in year one. I mean, that just puts him into elite company, because you're talking about a player that the franchise drafted. And when you look at the successful quarterbacks that the Washington franchise has had, I mean, starting with a guy like, Joe Theismann, who I can think of, and I'm talking about players who won a Super Bowl. So, looking at Joe Theismann, he won it in 83, but this was a quarterback that we did not get via the draft. And so love Joe Theismann, love what he did, for Washington and everything else. But he was a guy that we did not draft. Certainly a great quarterback, won a Super Bowl. And then, definitely my favorite of all time back here in the day was Doug Williams. And so Doug Williams, here's another guy. He was not drafted by Washington either. This was a guy that was taken, 17th overall in 78 by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, got over to Washington in free agency, so to speak. You'd have to go back and look at the story there, but still terrific for us, won a Super Bowl, absolutely blitzed the Denver Broncos, which was great. And so we love that. And so, again, you're talking about Jayden Daniels getting to a Super Bowl and winning this thing. Like, he would be the one player that I know that's been drafted with this franchise and just taking us to the next level. So I'd say he would get into some elite company. And I mean, Mark Rippon, look, he was the quarterback around the last time we won it. And I mean, Mark Rippon was drafted by Washington. He was actually drafted in 86. He was actually on that team that won in Super Bowl 22, which is, I just showed you Doug Williams, and they won that against the Denver Broncos. But he was a quarterback on that roster. And so with that being said, he came back in Super Bowl 26 in 1991, which was the last time we won it against the Buffalo Bills. And so he's a drafted quarterback, but still, he hasn't done the things that Jayden Daniels has done. And so this is why I think that Jayden Daniels, if he can just get to that, if he can win a Super Bowl, which I'm really hoping that I see this again, that if he can win it, he is going to put himself into some elite company here. And so just taking a little bit of a history lesson, just thinking about some of these guys that have played for us back in the day, and these are quarterbacks, like I said, that this is a quarterback that was drafted with us in Mark Rippon, Doug Williams, again, he came over, and then Joe Theismann as well. And so these are players that, again, played for us back in the day. And I just think that Jayden Daniels has a chance to really get into some elite company here. And so you guys let me know in the comments here what you guys are thinking. Do you think that Jayden Daniels is poised to really step into some elite stuff this year, get us a Super Bowl, being a drafted franchise quarterback for us, and hopefully more to come? And also, too, what do you guys think about these standalone games for the Washington Commanders? Are you worried about the test that is coming up here for the Washington Commanders? Do you feel like that the Commanders are going to be able to stay composed and really get this thing done? I think that they are. I really do feel like that the Washington Commanders are going to get it done. And so anyway, you guys let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking. And also, too, before we jump out of here, another quarterback that I just thought about as well was Jay Schrader, right? Like, he was another quarterback that, again, he was drafted by the Washington franchise. He did win that Super Bowl, too. He was on the Doug Williams team as well. So just wanted to throw that out there. But anyway, you guys let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking. And as we always say, go Commanders. I'll see you guys in the next one. All right, peace.